Today's notes are out of two sections. So section 10-4 and 10-6 both deal with the surface area and volume of prisms. Okay, you're going to see another notes that's also going to say 10-4 and 10-6, and it's going to be for cylinders. Okay, so if you have a highlighter, go ahead and highlight the word prisms so that you can distinguish between the two when you get there. Okay, so just a reminder of the 5 steps that we learned in the last chapter. 1, you're going to identify the figure. 2, you're going to write down the formula. 3, you're going to substitute values. 4, you're going to use your calculator. And 5, you're going to attach the correct units. All right, so that's how we're going to do all of the surface area and volume problems. So for example, number 1, we're going to find the surface area of a rectangular prism. And we're going to draw it. So I drew 2 rectangles and then I connected the vertices on the top and the bottom. So I'm going to use the bottom rectangle as my first base, and then I'm going to use the top as my second base, and then I'm going to give you guys some measurements. So this is going to be 7 feet right here. This is going to be 9 feet, and we're going to have a height of 14 feet. So after I identify the figure, second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the formula sheet, and I'm going to see that the formula for the surface area of a rectangular prism is pH plus 2b. After I've written out the formula is I'm going to substitute the values. Well, I need the perimeter of the base. So I'm going to look at this base down here. I'm going to say, okay, it's a rectangle. So I've got 4 sides. The 2 sides opposite each other are all the same. So I'm going to say 7 plus 9 plus 7 plus 9. That means that the perimeter is 32 feet. That's what plugs in for P. Then I need the height. The height of the whole rectangular prism is 14. That plugs in there. Plus 2 times the area of the base. So the base is, again, that rectangle. And for area of a rectangle, I multiply length times width. So I'm going to go 7 times 9. And I get 63 feet squared. And that plugs in here. So now I have all my numbers that I need to plug into my calculator. So I multiply 32 times 14, I get 448. I multiply 2 times 63, I got 126. Then I add them together with my calculator and I get 574. This one was measured in feet, so I say feet, and I'm still on surface area, so I say squared. All right. Any questions on example number 1? All right. What if your base is not a square or a rectangle? What if it's a triangle? So we're going to look at a triangular prism. And I'm going to give you some measurements here. So we've got 3 centimeters. We've got 4 centimeters. This hypotenuse right here is 5 centimeters. And this side of the prism is 2 centimeters. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is identify the figure. And if it helps, you can shade your bases like this. Here's the base, and here's the base. So this one's turned on its side. So if you're having trouble with them on your assignment, look and see, is it turned on its side? Is what what looks to me like the front and the back, is that really the top and the bottom? Okay, you might need to turn it in your mind. You could even redraw it if you needed to. But you need to identify that this is a triangular prism. And so you're going to use the surface area formula for a prism, which is the same formula we just used for example number 1. We're just going to use it differently. So we're going to say perimeter times the height plus 2 times the area of the base. Okay? So we need to get the perimeter, and we need to get the base and plug it in. Okay? The height is already here for us. It's just a little hard to tell what it is because it's turned on its side. If it's turned on its side, then this is the height. Okay? If it were standing up straight, it's usually a little bit easier to see. But if it's laying down, it's going to be the flat measurement, which is this 2 centimeters. So that gets plugged in right there. Okay? Now let's get the perimeter of the base. So I shaded my 2 bases, which means this side is 3, this side is 4, and this side is 5. So to get the perimeter, I add those 3 sides. 3 plus 4 plus 5, I've got 12 centimeters. That's what plugs in right here. Now I just need one more piece of information, which is the area of the base. And we learned in the last chapter how to get the area of a triangle, right? It's base times height divided by 2. So I'm going to use the 3 and the 4 because that's the one that goes to the 90-degree angle. This hypotenuse is not a base or a height, but I did need that for the perimeter. So I'm going to say 3 times 4 divided by 2. I got 6 centimeters squared. That's what plugs in here. Now I'm going to grab my calculator and simplify this. So 12 times 2 is obviously 24. And 2 times 6 is 12. Add them together. You should get 36. This triangular prism was measured in centimeters, so I'm going to say centimeters squared. Okay. Any questions on example number 2? All right, that's 2 surface area problems. Now let's look at one that's a volume. So example number 3. So here's our figure, and I'm going to give you some measurements of 3 centimeters, 5 centimeters, and 13 centimeters. First thing we want to do is identify this figure. Anybody know what this one is? It's a rectangular prism. So I look on my formula sheet, and I get the formula for the volume of a rectangular prism, and all it says is capital B, H. So I need to find the area of the base, we'll plug it in there, and I need to get the height. Anybody know the height of this rectangular prism? 13, right? It's laying on its side here. So this is the height that goes right there. Right? That makes this piece right here the base, and this piece right here the other base. So that's the top and the bottom. All right? So if I need the area of it, it's just a rectangle. So it's just length times width. So I multiply 3 times 5. I got 15 centimeters squared, and that plugs in right here. So I get my calculator out, I multiply 15 times 13, and I get 195, and that's in centimeters what? It's more on volume now, so we're going to say cubed. Right? Any questions on example number 3? All right, example number 4. We're going to do another volume problem. And I'm going to give you some measurements here. This side is 15 inches. This side is 15 inches. And this side is 15 inches. That makes this a what? Cube. Cube, or you can call it a rectangular prism. Okay, a cube is just a special rectangular prism because all 3 sides are the same. And so I'm going to use the formula off my sheet, which is area of the base times the height. If you want to use length times width times height, go for it and see what answer you get compared to the answer I'm about to get. All right? So I need to find the area of the base, and then I know the height is 15, so I can plug that in already. The base is a square, so I'm going to say 15 squared. Type it into my calculator. I get 225 inches squared. So I plug that 225 in there, multiply this in my calculator. I've got 3,375. Anybody do length times width times height? No? No adventurous people? Okay. So the answer should be in inches what? Cubed. All right, finish copying.